What's up, everybody, and welcome to the NFL Pre-Lock Show. It says showdown up there, but let me tell you something. This isn't just a showdown slate. We got two games tonight. The NFL is doing it for us this year. I don't know why, but they've had this several times this year. Weird scheduling this year. And then we got the Christmas Day games coming up next week, and all kinds of weird but fun stuff. I think it's fine. Today, Monday night, joined by Beer, the legend, the OG. They call him the OG, man. What's up, OG? How was your week? How was your week 15, OG?
Had a solid week. You're OG as well, man. We're a little throwback to our OG's podcast, RIP. But solid week. Didn't end up getting there, but definitely in the running. Another high-scoring week. I mean, you had to have pretty much that Detroit-Buffalo game, which Eric Beinfort and I talked about on Sunday morning on one of the shows. Is I was surprised that the ownership was so low on that game. I mean, a huge total game, and it just was shocking to see some of the results. But overall, solid week, and I love these two-game Monday night slates. Nothing wrong with a showdown. Those are always fun, but a two-gamer really makes it fun. Now, they're not the best games in the world, but I always like the two-gamer. Put the two screens on and watch both games. Makes the contest a little bit more fun with that many more choices. So excited. As bad as the games are, there's some decent options for us to talk about tonight.
Yeah, there's just something that hits a little bit different when you fill out a full roster on the DraftKings or FanDuel page as opposed to just boom, 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 one game, captain this, captain that, all that other stuff. But we are rocking and rolling through this two-gamer. If you're playing the NBA, Jaden Ivey scratched, so you got to get that. Check that one out. Make sure I ain't eating that one, but I don't know.
I avoided that one, but I was close to putting them in, so I'm glad I don't have to make any adjustments on the fly. Any more NBA updates? Keep coming, Chop. We're
35% Malik Beasley today, so that was a scratch that went in our favor.
There you go.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. Talk to me about these two games first. Before we get into anything we have, you said maybe not the most attractive games. So we got on one hand Atlanta at Vegas. It's only a 6-point spread or 5.5, whatever you're seeing it at right now. But it's a little bit odd. Vegas, I'm not saying that they've quit yet, but man, some of the guys are not happy with what's going on. You're starting Desmond Ridder. So you got that game. And then the other one seems a little bit more competitive, but it's Chicago at Minnesota. Talk to me about these two games. Anything you see spread-wise, total-wise, anything like that jumps out to you?
I'm more in the prop market, so we'll get into some of those as we go along. Nothing really jumps out spreads and total-wise. As far as these games go, obviously Detroit losing yesterday, big for Minnesota. I mean, they can gain some ground here where it looked like Detroit was just going to run the gauntlet and Minnesota settles in at that 4-5 seed. So this is a chance for them to gain some ground. So they have a lot of motivation here in a good matchup. Chicago is a team you can definitely get it done on. The defense, sure, it has its pieces. We'll talk Justin Jefferson and the concerns there, things like that. But a lot of Minnesota pieces in play. Bears are always fun because they tend to dig a hole, and then you get a ton of Caleb Williams throwing to all of these pass catchers. So that one, to me, the more appealing game of the two. Like you mentioned, the Raiders, they've basically quit. They're on their third-string quarterback, about their fourth, fifth-string running back in Sincere McCormick here. So that one's kind of ugly. Now, Atlanta still has a lot to play for. Still in the mix. Got to get a win here. Do we get Kirk Cousins actually doing something? I mean, the guys look terrible. The calls are out there for Michael Penix Jr. to finally hit the field. So I don't know that they're going to go that route at all this season, but that game a lot less appealing, but probably a lot less owned as well. So I think we can take advantage of a few spots out of that game.
Yeah, Detroit, man, unfortunate, but a month ago I would have said Super Bowl favorites by far, and it's not even close. Now, they're going to be lucky to get past maybe the second round or so.
I got a tryout in the morning. Play some defense for the Lions. Man.
They are scraping the bottom on their defense with the injuries. It happens. Sometimes it happens later in the year, and you kind of notice it. Like right now, sometimes this takes place week 1, 2, 3, or 4, and people kind of get swept under the rug, and you don't realize, hey, that team could have been a Super Bowl contender had that not happened. But They're going through it right now. But guys, we're going to walk you through for about the next 30 minutes or so, or however long, your questions are going to dictate how long we stay here. We're going to do some SimLabs work. We're going to do some player props work. We're going to just flat out talk about the slate. Not like a showdown. We've got actual positions here tonight that we can mess around with. So before we get into the showdown build, let's go sort of position by position and talk about some of our favorite plays here tonight. Start off at the quarterback, where you got to choose one on your roster. Which one's jumping out to you?
I think you can make a reasonable case for any of them and the reasons why you would want to play them. Sam Darnold, obviously the best offense on this slate, some great pass catchers. Even if you didn't want Jefferson, Addison is cheap, Hawkinson is cheap. You can pair him with Aaron Jones. So a lot of ways that you could go with Sam Darnold. Other side, we just talked about Caleb Williams. I mean, whether it's garbage time or not, they're likely playing from behind in this game, 7-point underdog. So he's likely throwing a ton. Also adds the most value with his legs out of anybody on this slate. So you get some value there as well. Kirk Cousins, I have some concerns, but it's the Raiders. I mean, that defense, he should be able to get it done. Not going to add a lot with his legs, not going to add anything with his legs, but is he really as bad as what we've seen? You always get these discussions. He's washed, he's done, he's a statue. If there's a spot that he can bounce back, it's certainly tonight against the Raiders. And then you have Desmond Ridder. The appeal is the price. I mean, 4,800 opens up whatever you want. Again, clear target tree there with Myers, with Bowers. His appeal is the price, and he can do a little bit with his legs. So I see Dean asking questions here. That's Matt Foley, Dean. You know who that is. I get a lot of questions on this shirt. Who is that? I can't talk to those people. You either know them or you don't. So Dean, I know he knows. And Chop, are we going to have a little movie trivia here tonight? Do we add that into the features of the show yet? Or
I wish they would have reminded me. I would have done a little movie trivia with some real clues, man. Not those crazy clues Dean gives, but okay. So answer a couple questions real quick in chat. Carolina guy, FanDuel guy. So it's a GPP on FanDuel. You got one bullet. Who's your favorite guy on FanDuel?
I mean, overall or quarterback?
It just says, overall, just one bullet team, like one team, boom, you're in there for the GPPs. Who's the one guy on FanDuel you got to have?
I mean, Bijan's the easy answer, so I'll give you a bonus answer here. I really like DJ Moore tonight. I think he's still among the wide receivers, is still the top guy, and it can be tough to differentiate between. We've seen Odunze's 2 touchdowns. We've seen Keenan Allen get a ton of targets. DJ Moore went off on this Minnesota team a couple weeks ago. So really like DJ Moore. I think he's too cheap across the industry. That'll be my answer here outside of the obvious in Bijan Robinson.
Monday engage. The first clue is scrolling across the bottom.
Nice. Flipped. All right.
I'm totally lost. That's just out in the.
So we may have some viewers here that aren't viewers of everything, Chop. You want to just quickly lay out the rules of the game here? I mean, it's pretty simple, but
yeah, it's movie Monday. TJ's gonna drop in and give us some clues here on a movie that he has predetermined in his head, and he's gonna give us the clues. We got to guess based on those clues. He'll drop another one in a minute, and I tell you what, if you guess right. And in either one of the chats, I'm not like Dean, and I'm not a snob and saying you just got to be into guess right in either one of the chats, and we'll hook you up with something. I don't know yet what, but I mean, listen.
We got 1 week of RotoGrinders Premium to whoever gets it. 1 guess per clue.
Okay.
And you got to have at least 50 likes on YouTube for us to give it away.
Have 50 likes.
Right, easy.
I'm not trying to give away no RG stuff right now. It's a little tight, if you know what I mean, and financially behind the scenes here. So I'm not at liberty, but my man TJ says go for it, so go for it. Carolina, following up on yours, I would say, man, it's a tough one, but I'd lean right now Darnell Mooney. I don't know. I'm not giving away.
He's intriguing tonight because Bijan's going to get played and London's going to get played.
And London's always more owned, more popular than Mooney.
Always.
Mooney, you could almost say, has been the better wide receiver of those. At least for the last 2 months or so, he has been. So
what a solid move tonight is, Chop, is you build your favorite lineup, and if it has London in there, take him out, put Mooney in. Instantly, you're different. You left salary on the table. And we've seen many games where Mooney has outscored Drake London.
Yep, that is definitely a very viable strategy. Let's see if we got any more questions. Primetime Kirk Cousins. I forgot about that. What do you make about that?
I mean, I have a lot of concerns about Kirk Cousins. If I have to lay out my quarterbacks tonight, he's fourth on my list.
Wow.
I'm putting Desmond Ridder above Kirk Cousins here tonight. So maybe a hot take, but it's hard to imagine. Yet, can he bounce out of this? Yes. I mean, he can't be as bad as we've seen. But to me, I think they get it done. They get it done through Bijan Robinson. He's not going to have to do a lot unless Ridder in this offense can really push this team. I like Ridder for his cost. I don't know that the Raiders can push enough to force Kirk Cousins to have to throw the ball 40, 50 times, and that's what you need. Unless he lands on the right side of touchdown variance, he's not going to give you anything on the ground. So he's going to have to be chucking the ball. I just don't know that this is the environment for that.
Couple more questions here before we get to the next spot here is Lip. Am I sleeping on Kyle Pitts? Boy, you talk about a total anomaly, man, of a tight end. What to make of Kyle Pitts, like in general?
I mean, extremely disappointed in Kyle Pitts. I know a lot of people are. I mean, I'm in dynasty leagues. We're all in season-long leagues with DFS. I mean, he's let everybody down. So they've even come out and said we're going to try to get him the ball. It still doesn't work. So when Ray McCloud is out playing you, Chop, at a pass-catching position, that's a problem. So we know the talent is there. We know the upside is there. I think he should be in your player pool. It's the best tight end matchup tonight. I mean, Vegas has struggled against this position. So if there's a spot that he can get it going, certainly tonight. So I have some. I'm not going crazy on it tonight.
Yes. So in case you didn't see, look across the bottom of the screen. We got clue number 2. It is sugar. So our clues are flipped and sugar. This is a movie. So get your guesses in, give it a shot, and we'll figure it out. Derek has a question for you. DK GPP, last piece in McLeod or Algier?
I'm going to go Ray McLeod there, but I do like Tyler Algier as well. I don't even hate the pairing of Bijan and Algier, and maybe they just hammer this team on the ground, and no one's really going to want to play that. You'll have some with it being a 2-game slate, but I'm going to go Ray McLeod there. But both of those guys certainly have intrigue in that price range.
Serotonin Cowboy says below. Man, that's a good guess.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
I don't know if it's right or not. I have no access to the actual answer, but I don't even think that's right, but that's a hell of a guess. I don't think TJ would even go with flipped and sugar as blow, but if you know, you know what I mean? Like, let's talk about some running backs here. All right. You mentioned Bijan already. Big time. We got some good running backs tonight. And there's one guy from down here in San Antonio named Sincere McCormick. He's going to get the gig now for Vegas, and I think he's pretty intriguing tonight. Talk to me about your favorite running backs.
Yeah, Bijan's easy. We don't need to spend a lot of time. He's kind of taken over that backfield. Algier's still going to get his touches, still going to be involved, but Bijan just a monster. So let's talk Sincere McCormick. I saw the twinkle in your eye there, Chop, comes from your area. So what a story. I mean, this guy's been around a couple of years and very much reminds me of last year. Zamir White, all of a sudden, here he is. We're giving him the ball. He's the starter. So if they can stay in this game, I think he's a solid play. Now, it looks to be a little bit overowned in SimLabs tonight. Alexander Madison back tonight, so we'll see what that looks like. They've said McCormick is the starter, but things go haywire, go south. I think Madison likely the pass-catching back here. So that's the way things can go wrong, but the price is there. If it's a competitive game, he's going to get the work, does get involved in the passing game a little bit. So he's interesting at 5,100. Aaron Jones in a great spot. You know, we can run on the Bears all day long. So I really like him. The guy I'm avoiding is DeAndre Swift. I don't think I've had any. You know, I built 10, 12 lineups already on DraftKings and haven't landed on Swift. Even when he's in there, I end up taking him out. So he's one of my fades tonight. If it beats me, it beats me. But he's a guy I'm out on. And then Algier is about the only other viable name. Madison, I've put in some lineups just as a pivot off of McCormick to get a little bit different. Algier, like I said, the double stack with Bijan, even as a pivot away. Hope the touchdown variance goes your way outside of that. Really not much else I'm touching at the running back position. So very, very owned at the top, as it should be. I mean, Jones and Bijan are going to have a ton of ownership. So trying to get different with those two. But I think there's some other options that are certainly interesting with your boy Sincere McCormick.
Yep, Bijan, the clear stud here. Aaron Jones could definitely make a case to fade him the way his body is kind of physically broken down here recently, but that's okay. You can Sincere McCormick, man. He's an interesting player tonight. It's not the greatest of matchups, but boy, he's still really young. Like no tread on the tires because of the fact that he's been sitting out the last couple of years. He only played like 2 full seasons at UTSA. No tread. He's got some skills. He put up some monster seasons in college. He's interesting. I wouldn't, and he can catch the ball a little bit, like you said. All right, let's whip through some wide receivers real quick. We got one of the best if not the best in the game going tonight. But man, he's so much more expensive than everybody else. If I sit here and hit optimals and try to run optimals, I really don't get much. And it's weird on a small slate that you don't get much of the best player, probably out of all teams playing tonight. He's the best player, best fantasy player, but he's not popping up in the optimals because of the price tag. What do we do with JJ, and who are your other faves?
JJ is an interesting proposition tonight. I mean, it's not tough to get him in lineups. There's enough value, enough cheaper pieces where you can make it work. Guys I think are underpriced, but the matchup, Chop. I mean, Chicago has done a great job of limiting number one wide receivers, and we saw that in the last meeting. Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson both go crazy here. So I'm going to be underweight on Jefferson. I'm not fading him. Still going to have him more so in some Minnesota onslaughts where I'm going real heavy on the Vikings. And he can get there against anybody. So this is not me telling you don't play Justin Jefferson. I just have some concerns, and I agree with the optimals that maybe he's not optimal tonight. So keep an eye on that ownership. I don't expect it to dip too low. If he's 20, 25%, I'm a lot more excited. If he's going to be 40%, I'm probably going to be under that, but I'm certainly going to have some in those Minnesota stacks.
Yes, sir. Let's see here. We have, let me check on some, no NBA news. We're good to go right there.
All right.
Let's talk about some tight ends. We got Brock Bowers, rookie tight end, setting records. He's awesome, but he's expensive, and I'm scared of Desmond Ridder not being able to help him pay off that big tag. And then it drops down a tier to TJ Hawkinson, who's coming back from knee surgery last year, but he's kind of getting into his groove, finding himself these days. But boy, he's got a lot of target competition. And then there's a huge drop-off. There's some people who say every once in a while, if you can fade those guys, you can almost punt this thing for nothing and have no opportunity calls. I don't know what side are you on tonight with the tight ends?
I'll have some in the lineups I built. I don't have as much Bowers. Hawkinson, I do have some, but I'm really intrigued by these cheaper tight ends here tonight, mainly Michael Mayer of the Raiders. We saw his involvement really pick up last week, and if it's something they're going to do, which makes sense, they don't have a ton of wide receivers there, so why not utilize both of these tight ends that you drafted very highly? So I think these guys can both coexist. I think both of them in the same lineup is not the worst thing in the world, or even a fade Bowers, play Michael Mayer. Hopefully he finds the end zone and Bowers doesn't get 7, 8, 9 receptions, and that'll allow you to spend every other position. So he's a name that I've been mixing in quite a bit. And I think Cole Kmet, another one. He's going to be way down the list when you're looking at those wide receivers in Chicago. But we've seen some big games out of Cole Kmet. So on a slate like this, those are the kind of guys I want to take my chances on, because a touchdown at a cheap price like that, and Hawkinson and Bowers don't go crazy, you're setting yourself up well. So Michael Mayer, my favorite. I think Cole Kmet right there as well if you want to go cheap at the tight end position.
4 guesses for Movie Monday in there right now. Winner gets a free week of RotoGrinders Premium. We hit the 50 likes, so we're good to go on that front. Chop and Beer, if you guys got any guesses, let me know in the private chat. We
don't have a winner.
Sugar, winner, survive. The 5th one will be pretty obvious, so people got to be ready for when that 5th one starts scrolling.
Okay. Oh man, I don't know, but you got any guesses? It's tough
I was thinking Talladega Nights. I saw that in the chat though, so somebody beat me to it. Clearly, that's not it. But
I'll put one in our private chat, but I don't think this is it. But We'll give it a shot. But all right, let's move on here. As always with the defense, there's so much variance there. I don't even like to handicap defenses on a slate like this. I like to see how much money do I have left over. Whatever I can afford, that's the one I'll go with. I don't think there's anything to it. Let's talk about some SimLabs real quick. All right, pulling up some SimLabs. We got a 2-gamer here. So this is not a showdown, so it's a little bit different. Talk to me about some settings. Do you change anything because it's a full roster as opposed to just a showdown?
I want more correlation than I think it's set at 10. So that's the biggest slider that I'm adjusting here. To me, on these games, I really like building game onslaughts, game stacks. Most people want exposure to both games or watching both games. And you have to add one piece at least. But I've seen so many of these slates won by one game going crazy. The other game, kind of just does whatever. So I really want more correlation in there. So that'd be about the only slider that I'm moving on this one tonight.
Okay, we move that one up a little bit. I don't mind all that. I think everything else. Let's go large field, medium there. Let's see what we get if we run 100 of these puppies. I like to run extras and just handpick some stuff out if I need to. But how's the movie? Are we dropped in the 5th clue yet? Nobody's guessed it. It's not. See, I was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory being mentioned by Lip. That's kind of where my head was at a little bit ago. But I saw somebody guess it, so I didn't want to double down on that. So I'm taking it. It's not anything to do with the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka, or anything. TJ.
Nope, but I'll still give the 5th clue for those who didn't see it and those who are playing at home or on Discord, but we did get a winner in chat. Jeff, what was Jeff's last name? Jeff Frimmensland has taken the win.
What was clue number 5?
Clue number 5, Keanu.
Oh, okay. A Keanu movie. Okay, I like Keanu.
All coming together now.
We get it. All right, flipped. I Will Survive. I Will Survive. That was a song, and they danced to it at the end of the Keanu movie. Okay, all right. Yeah, I got you. I can't remember the name of it.
Bam, and I accidentally put it on the screen.
All right, what we got here? Let's look at some exposures, Beer. What do they give us? All right, let's take a look at some quarterback exposures. I'd spread it out, and it went with the cheap guys. What do you think about that strategy right there?
That makes sense. And it agrees with me. Kirk Cousins 4th on the list. Yeah. I liked Arnold, but is he going to get pushed? He's more expensive than the other guys. So, this is probably my list as well. Caleb Williams, so many ways to stack. The upside, the different ways you can go with him. Ritter is cheap, so I agree with that.
Yeah, I just have a hard time pulling the Desmond Ritter trigger.
I get it.
So I don't know, man. Let's talk
about little revenge narrative now.
Yeah.
And he does have some upside with his legs. We haven't seen it yet, but it's obviously risky. This could blow up in your face. The Falcons defense, to me, is one of the better plays, as bad as they've been, just because it's Desmond Ritter, and both can be true. So
absolutely. The running back position, just going to lock in Bijan because it's a weak group anyway. And so you got to fill at least 2 spots, if not the flex also. So it just wants to lock in Bijan and then kind of give some of the other guys. There's really not a lot to like at the running back position. So I get it. And then
that's where I don't mind going with an Algier or something just to get a little bit different. If you're not on Jones, I don't like Swift tonight. If you're out on him, if you're worried about McCormick, I think Algier, or even mixing in some Alexander Madison Eds, maybe they get down and he's the pass catching back and McCormick doesn't get the work. So Algier Madison guys, I think you can take a flyer on. If you like Justin Jefferson, you want to save some money, that's a way you can do that. So those 2 guys, risky for sure, but guys, I'll be mixing in on this 2-gamer.
There has never been a better slate to run the 2 running backs from the same team. I've done it before, and I've won before on showdowns and some other small slates. I remember when Derrick Henry had what's his name was his running mate out there.
Lewis.
It might have been Lewis. It might have been the guy before. Didn't he have DeMarco Murray for a year or somebody
Marco
like
Murray,
that?
yep.
Yeah, they were really good. Yeah, but most of the time it doesn't work. But we're sitting here telling you maybe Kirk Cousins doesn't get the volume because they're ahead. So if we're fading the passing attack, boy, and you're not missing a whole lot. If Aaron Jones doesn't blow up, you don't think you're going to be missing out on a whole lot from this position. Might be a good double Atlanta running back night.
Yep.
So that would be a unique build too. Wide receivers, it's spreading them out, but it's gonna. Jacoby Myers is a nice, safe target for Ritter. I don't like Ritter, but you got to have guys who can at least be in a shorter passing zone for him and get open. Myers is that, so I get that one. DJ Moore, there's your guy, DJ Moore, and it's going to give us a couple bears up top there. What do you think about the double bear stack?
I love it. I think you could triple it too if they really get down. Now, you don't have to be all three wide receivers. Maybe go a Cole Kmet there, but that would be my preference on those guys as well. DJ Moore 1, Keenan 2, Odunze 3. But as you can see, there's 9 viable options. If you believe in Ray McLeod, a lot of ways you can go. And like I said, build those lineups and maybe you make a London to Mooney swap. Maybe you build it, make a Jefferson to Addison swap and leave that money on the table. 2-gamer, anything is in play. Don't be afraid to leave money out there. But this is the strongest position on the slate by far. I mean, you can make an argument for quarterback, but there are a lot of ways that you can go here. You playing any of these cheapies, the Trey Tuckers, the Jalen Nailers of the world, have you landed on any of those guys?
Yeah, I'm not into that, but I think what you just said is not just the strength of the slate, but the uniqueness that the best guy by a wide margin is what the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th highest owned wide receiver in the Sims. I wouldn't a 2-game slate, man. There's nobody on the entire slate that has the ability to break this thing and flip it on its head easy as Justin Jefferson. And SimLabs is giving it to you way down here. If you try to do optimals, it's not going to give you very much JJ. It's bizarre, man. He might just be worth it just for the leverage on the field, man. He might be worth it. So
tough matchup, but we've seen him thrive in tougher matchups. So, they took him away the first time. Can they do it again? I don't know. So that's what was his number? 29%. That's very interesting tonight, Justin Jefferson.
And then tight ends kind of spread out. And on a slate like this, you definitely want, there's a little marker in there where you can limit your flex positions to running backs and wide receivers, like on the main slate. Love doing that. But on something as small as this, I don't mind getting some tight ends in flex. No big deal. So that's dispersed pretty evenly there. Going back to chat here, we got a little bit of activity. And yes, I do want to compliment TJ on the good clues for the movie. Those were not Dean. Those were not Dean clues. Those were some pretty good clues right there.
It wasn't too easy. It wasn't impossible like some of Dean's pulling out stuff from left and right. And this was right in the wheelhouse, right in the middle where we wanted.
Yeah, and Dean says the most unrealistic part of the replacements was the idea that Keanu needed a strike to get a second chance. No one gives up on his. Dean has never heard of Kurt Warner. Like, Kurt Warner's bagging groceries. It happens, Dean. Sometimes you just sometimes the league just airballs on guys. And so Keanu, it just airballed on Keanu, man. It happens. But, yeah, good movie, good clues, good game. What do we got here? Any more questions? You see any more questions popping up around here?
Somebody asked, is Caleb not simming well? I mean, the quarterbacks are all going to spread out. I think your highest owned will be Caleb and Darnold. Ritter's gaining some traction, but I don't think he's going to be the highest owned. So he's simming fine. You really hope that they go into this we got to go mode. You hope Minnesota gets up, and then it's just Caleb peppering people with targets like we've seen many times this season. To me, that's the ideal game script. If it's competitive, they're going to want to run the ball. They're going to keep things conservative. So really depends on how you're building that game script in your lineups.
Yeah, and then it's given us Caleb more than any other quarterback. So he's simming pretty darn well. I mean, it's just never going to – I mean, you could sit here and do this thing 1,000 different times. It's just never going to lock into a specific quarterback in these things. It's always going to kind of spread it out at least a little bit. So I'm fine with that. Let's talk about some player props now. You're in the props streets, and so you got some good ideas of what's going on here on this little two-gamer. Let's build something out here on Splash Sports in case you haven't checked out Splash Sports. It's here, man. They're into the quick picks streets just like everybody else, except for the lines are typically slower moving. So you get that advantage a lot of times nowadays. Once somebody puts it out there on Scores and Odds or any of the other platforms, people hit it and it moves like that. You can't really get the good lines sometimes, but on Splash Sports it doesn't move as quick. You can do just about everything you can do with any other site. You see all the variety of options here, so it's a good place. And if you get in there and use our code, maybe TJ will drop it in the chat here or something like that. I don't know. We got so many codes out there. We're all over the place. But talk to me. Give me one. Start me off with one that you feel good about tonight.
DJ Moore over receiving yards.
Now,
let's see what that number is.
It's going to be 59.5.
Yes, it was 58.5 earlier, so I'm fine with that. That's when I'd play into the 60s, so that's a good number.
Why is that your favorite guy tonight? Why not Keenan or why not Rome or somebody like that?
To me, he's the number one guy, and he's getting the targets. Again, we saw Rome pop off for the 2 touchdowns. When you look at the target distribution, he's still third. Keenan gets a ton of targets. Sometimes those targets can turn into 7 catches for 30 yards. So he would be more of a reception guy for me. I just think DJ Moore against the secondary, one of the worst in the league against wide receivers. If they have any chance here, it's going to be his big playability, and he can cover that in one catch. We know that. So that line to me should have been mid-60s. So to get it under 60, I think is a big edge.
Fair enough. So we got his passing yards. What do you think about Caleb's passing yard? Would you correlate that, or is that a little bit too high? I saw it. People have been hitting this all day long on all the sites.
That's up there a little bit. So if anything from here, I like the under on Sam Darnold. Let's if Minnesota does what they're supposed to do, 7-point favorites, they're running the ball with Aaron Jones. Chicago is holding Jefferson at bay. We've seen Darnold play well and not have to put up big yardage. The touchdowns can be there, and he hasn't had a ton of big yardage games. Got a few for sure, but that number I think is a little bit too high. So I like the under on that one.
So here's some niche stuff. If you ever want to get in and just really dive into it and do that kind of thing, look at some of these numbers here. Longest rush tonight. I'm looking specifically at Cam Akers. They're expecting him at one time tonight to go for 10 yards. Like, he just doesn't do that much anymore. And not to mention, he's not. If Aaron Jones is healthy and he's in there and he's playing, he's not even going to get that many opportunities. Something like that, I'd be hitting the under on. I want to do one more. I want to fill it out. I want a 3-teamer.
So one more I really like, rushing attempts for Tyler Algier. I saw it 6.5 earlier. So
6.5. You think he goes over that?
I think he gets enough work. I know Bijan's taking things over, but whether he's the relief or they're playing from ahead or the goal line stuff, that's a pretty low number for him. So that was one of my favorites today.
Yep, that is a good one because you get the blowout factor. You get second half bleeding the clock. They're not going to leave it all in Bijan's hands. I kind of like that. All right. Got 8 minutes left here. I'm going to submit that. We can drop that screen down now, and we can talk about some questions. We got any questions in chat? Let's see.
Yeah, fire the questions. You guys got anything?
Yeah, if you got anything, get it. Now's the time to get it in before we jump out of
Eric
here.
Johnson, good point. I actually put a parlay together earlier. I don't do a ton of parlays, but Ritter to throw in interceptions, Cousins to throw in interceptions. Both were like in the minus 120 to minus 130 range. So I think both of those are great bets tonight.
All right, some questions here. Favorite MVP on FanDuel for single entry?
Again, Bijan's the easy answer. So if you want to get away from that, I'm going to stick with DJ Moore here. So I'm giving a little plums preview with all my DJ Moore love here, but that'd be the way that I would go. You look at who can give you upside. You mentioned Jefferson can break the slate. We know Bijan can. Now we get to that next level. To me, DJ Moore has that upside to be the highest scoring player on this slate tonight.
Yeah. Would you take Caleb, Moore, Allen, Komet, and run it back with Jefferson and Addison? Well, that's a straight up game stack. What do you think about Caleb and Moore and Allen and Komet, and then the two Vikings wide? Do you think tonight supports the two number one Vikings wide receivers on a run back?
2-game slate.
It's all up in the air, man.
Anything goes. Yes.
Anything goes.
I think going extremely heavy on one team, one game makes sense. What if one of those teams comes out and scores 40-some points? You're going to get production from 4, 5, 6 different spots, and then say the Atlanta-Vegas game doesn't do anything, you're sitting pretty. So on a 2-gamer, love going like hammering one game, hammering one team, and hoping that it goes right. So I don't think that's bad at all. I think you could even add more to that.
Fair enough. All right, I'm not seeing a whole lot. Let me check the Discord real quick. Winner, no Discord, so we're pretty close. We got about 6 minutes left. Can Beer summon his inner Matt Foley and motivate me to win real quick for Dean's play? Do you have a Matt Foley impersonation?
I wish I did.
This guy.
I wish I did. I don't have the Matt Foley imitation, but voice is kind of going. We'll just show you a little more. We'll get the tie in there. It's just that's got to motivate you right there. In a van down by the river.
That was it. He hit it. He nailed it, Dean. Yeah, Dean, come on, man. You got to win you a little GPP. But we got about 5 minutes left. It's time. Plums play of the night. Fill it in your plums. I'm going to let you have the floor first. Knock it out.
DJ Moore. I see a big game coming here, and that upside, this matchup with Minnesota, he's the guy again. Bijan, I love. Easy. DJ Moore, I think, breaks the slate tonight.
All right. So I mentioned earlier Mooney on FanDuel, and I've had some Mooney love, and we both said the same thing. He could very well be considered the wide receiver one if you really wanted to get technical here over the last couple of months. But my fill it in the plums play of the night, I'm going Drake London because I think it's going to be easy work for Atlanta tonight, but easy enough that they kind of get Drake going a little bit early before they have to take their foot off the gas pedal later. They know he's the number one. If they're going to make a real run later in the year, he's got to be the guy. I think they have such a nice matchup tonight. They get him. They feed him. They get him going early. They get him some confidence. Get Kirk. If Kirk can't pull this matchup off and do some good things, it's Penix time. And that's
time for sure.
Yeah, it's Penix time. So I think that's it, guys. If we don't have any other questions, TJ, you got anything you want to point out in here? No? We're out? Okay. You got about 4 minutes, guys. Go set your lineups. We appreciate you tuning in. As always, we're going to be back for Thursday night football this week. We got a weird schedule this week with the NBA and football and everything else. So
Saturday game, there's all kinds of stuff.
All kinds of good stuff. But we appreciate you coming in here, spending your time with us before lock. Good luck in all those GPPs tonight. For Beer, for TJ behind the scenes, our host Chop, we're out of here.